People in the valley used to laugh at him, not because he was cruel, not because he was strange, but because to them he looked useless. While others rushed through life like they were being chased, he moved slowly. While others argued, he listened. While others fought the world, he seemed to let the world pass through him. His name was Shen, and the villagers called him the man who did nothing.
Then the first child collapsed. It happened in the market lane beside baskets of turnips and damp straw. A boy tried to stand, swayed once, and fell like a puppet whose string was cut. His skin looked ashen, his lips were cracked, his eyes were too bright, like fever had lit them from the inside. By noon the sickness had a rhythm. Dry heaving behind doors, footsteps running for help, a thirst that could not be quenched, water being poured into feverish mouths, as if water could wash fear out of the body. By nightfall, lantern light trembled behind paper windows, and the village bell rang the harsh bell, warning, not prayer. Hans strode through the street like a general with no army. "Boil herbs," he shouted. "Burn incense. Keep the children inside. Seal the doors. No one goes to the river at night." Men carried pots of bitter broth. Women fanned sweating faces. Old people whispered that a bad wind had come, that a demon was riding the fog. Wei ran from house to house until his lungs burned. He found Shen at the river as if nothing had changed. Shen was watching the surface ripple, watching a leaf spin once in a slow eddy and then drift onward. "We're losing people," Wei said, breathless. "They drink and drink, and still they look like they're drying out." Shen looked toward the village. From this distance, the valley sounded different. The normal sounds, chickens, wood being chopped, children laughing, had been replaced by one thing, the thin, desperate sound of bodies failing. Shen stood. "Show me," he said. In the first house, a young woman lay on a reed mat. Her eyes were open but not looking at anything. Her husband held her hand so tightly his knuckles were white, as if he could keep her from slipping away by force. Beside them, a bowl of water sat half full, untouched now, as if the body had stopped believing. In the second house, an old man shook, skin hot and slick. His tongue looked dry like paper. He whispered for water, with a voice that sounded too small from his throat. In the third house, two brothers sat against the wall, knees drawn up, breathing shallow. Their mother pressed a wet cloth to their foreheads, whispering prayers like stitches trying to hold torn fabric together. The village felt like a boat taking on water, quietly, relentlessly. Han gathered men at dawn and sent a messenger to the capital. "Bring doctors, real doctors, ones with names."
3 days later, the convoy arrived. Horse hooves on wet stone, blue silk sleeves, boxes of lacquered medicine, faces that looked disgusted by mud. The lead physician stepped into the village square and covered his mouth with a perfumed cloth. "This valley is damp," he declared. "The air is rotten. The fog carries poison." He ordered smoke. More incense, more fires, more loud instructions like volume could push sickness away. They hung talismans over doors. They burned rare herbs until the streets smelled like sweet rot. They bled men who were already weak. They scolded mothers for crying too loudly, as if grief itself was contagious. And still, people fell. In the middle of all this, Shen said almost nothing. He walked, he watched, he listened. He noticed which houses had sickness first. He noticed which children still ran outside and which ones no longer did. He noticed something small and ugly. The sickest homes were clustered like dark stains spreading outward from one place.
On the fourth morning, Shen stood in the square and asked one question. "Where do you draw your water?" The capital physician scoffed. "Water?" he said. "We are fighting poison in the air." Shen didn't argue. He turned to the villagers. "Answer me," he said again, calm as stone. "Where do you draw your water?" An old woman pointed. "The stone well near the fig tree." A butcher spat. "The same well, always." A mother said softly, "We all do. It's the sweetest water." Shen nodded, as if he had expected this. He asked a second question. "Who does not drink from that well?" Silence. Then a small voice. "My grandmother." A girl stepped forward, clutching her sleeves like she was afraid to be seen. "My grandmother says the well water tastes like coins. She takes from the spring by the river." Shen's eyes sharpened. "And is your grandmother sick?" The girl shook her head. A murmur rolled through the crowd. Han frowned. "What are you doing?" Shen bent down, picked up a handful of pebbles, and began placing them on the ground. One pebble for each sick house. He placed them without drama, without speeches. A map appeared in the dust. The pebbles were not scattered randomly. They were clustered tight like a fist, right around the fig tree well. Han stared. His stomach tightened. The capital physician pushed forward, offended. "This is superstition. Illness does not obey your stones." Shen rose. Then he did something that made Han's face harden. He walked straight to the fig tree well. A ring of villagers followed, like a funeral procession. The well was old, its stones dark with moss, its wooden frame polished smooth by thousands of hands. A bucket hung by a rope, damp and heavy. Each time it swayed, it made a soft, hollow knock against the stone. Tuk, 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 like a slow warning. Shen put his hand on the rope. Han stepped forward quickly. "Stop! We need water! People are dying!"
Shen looked at Han, not angry, not mocking, just seeing him. "Exactly," Shen said. Then he lifted the rope off its hook. The bucket dropped and splashed into the well, and Shen pulled the rope up, not with strength, with finality. He looped it, tied it, and then, quietly, he slid the rope into his sleeve. The villagers blinked, not understanding. Han's voice rose. "Shen, what are you doing?" Shen walked to a nearby cart, picked up a wooden plank, and placed it over the mouth of the well. He pressed it down. Then he drove a nail into it. Tack, tack, tack. The sound rang through the square like a judge's gavel. He didn't just seal a well, he executed a habit. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then the crowd erupted. "What are you doing?" a man screamed. "That's our water! Are you trying to kill us faster?" A woman shoved forward, eyes red. "My baby needs to drink." Han lunged toward the plank, rage shaking his shoulders. We stepped in front of them. Han didn't just shout. He moved to tear the board away like a drowning man clawing for air. We blocked him, hard. "Han," we said, voice shaking, "look at the stones." Han's eyes flicked down to the pebble map. His jaw clenched. His pride fought his fear. The capital physician raised his voice because he needed the crowd on his side. "This is madness," he declared. "The air is the enemy, not the well." Shen finally spoke like a blade. "You have been fighting smoke while drinking poison." The crowd went silent, not because they agreed, because the sentence was too sharp to ignore. Shen walked away from the well and did not beg. He walked to the river spring. He pointed to the water flowing over stones, clear, cold, honest. "Drink from here," he said. "Boil it, every pot, every mouth." Han spat. "We cannot boil water for everyone." Shen turned, and his voice stayed calm. "Then carry fewer lives," he said. "You cannot control sickness with shouting."
He looked at the capital physician. "You came with boxes, but you did not come with eyes." The physician's face tightened, humiliated. That night, the village split. Some obeyed Shen and boiled river water until their hands were blistered. Some disobeyed and pried at the well-board in secret. Some stood in their doorways and argued about destiny, about demons, about whether Shen was a savior or a curse. And still, the sickness continued, because sickness does not care what you believe. But something changed by the third day. The new cases slowed, not dramatically, not like a miracle, like a fire that has run out of dry grass. A child who had been shaking sat up and asked for rice. An old man who had been whispering for water spoke a full sentence again. A woman who had stared at nothing turned her head towards sunlight. We noticed it first because he was the one carrying water. He saw that the houses drinking boiled river water were recovering faster. He saw that the houses sneaking well water were still failing. We went to Shen at dusk. Shen sat by the river again, as if the valley's panic was just weather passing through. "Was it really the well?" we asked. Shen dipped his fingers into the water and lifted them out. Water fell away. It wasn't the well. It was what entered it.
The next morning, Shen walked uphill behind the fig tree. Wei followed. So did Han, quiet now, as if anger had finally gotten tired. Behind the well, above it, the land rose into a shallow slope where rainwater ran when the storms came. There, hidden behind a broken fence, was a pit where waste had been thrown for months. Too close, too careless. The soil around it was black. Flies swarmed. When the mist lifted for a moment, Wei saw a thin trickle lying in the dirt leading down toward the well stones, like a scar. Wei's stomach turned. Han's face went pale. "This," Han whispered, "this fed it." Shen nodded. "A monster does not need fangs," Shen said. "Sometimes it only needs a path." Han looked as if he wanted to blame someone, to punish someone, to make the fear feel useful. But Shen didn't give him that handle. Shen crouched and scraped the dirt with a stick, drawing a simple line in the soil. "Move the pit," he said. "Downwind, downhill, far." He drew another line. "Dig a drainage channel so rain cannot carry it." Another line. "Fence it, cover it, respect it." He stood and looked at the valley like it was a bowl and he could see where the cracks were. "This is not medicine," Wei said softly. Shen's eye stayed calm. "This is the medicine that doesn't look heroic," he said. They spent the day doing work no one wanted to praise. Men dug with blistered hands. Women carried stones and packed clay. Children hauled reeds to line a drainage trench. No chants, no incense, no shouting at the sky. Just removing the one thing feeding the sickness. By the end of the week, the village breathed again. Not with celebration, with relief so quiet it felt like shame. The capital doctors left before anyone could ask them to apologize. Their carts rolled out of the valley at dawn, wheels splashing through puddles, their blue silk untouched by the mud that had saved everyone. When the last rider vanished into the ridge haze, the villagers gathered near the sealed well. They stared at the plank like it was a tombstone. Han's face looked hollow. Wei walked toward Shen slowly, as if approaching a strange animal. Han finally spoke, voice rough. "You closed our well and it saved us." Shen didn't bow. He didn't accept praise like a trophy. He simply said, "You were thirsty. You would have drunk anything, even death." Han swallowed. Wei asked the question he had been carrying like a stone in his chest. "So, what was the lesson?" Shen looked at the river. He spoke quietly, but every word landed. "Most people fight the symptom,"
he said. They hit the monster where it is loud. He tapped his chest lightly. But the monster eats where it is quiet. Wei's eyes lowered. Shen continued, You cannot defeat every danger by force. Some dangers do not have a face. He glanced toward the well. So you do not fight them with anger. You fight them with attention. He paused, then added the line that stayed in Wei's bones. You cannot kill a monster by hitting it. You kill a monster by starving it. Wei breathed out slowly, like something inside him unclenched. And Shen, still the man who did nothing, sat back down by the riverbank. Not because he didn't care, because he had done what was needed. Nothing extra, nothing blind, only the quiet courage to stop drinking from the wrong source. Because in every life there is a poisoned well, and we keep demanding strength while we keep drinking from it.